I check the Ford's tire pressure every Tuesday, habit left over from Dad's trucking days. Even though this '09 F-150 ain't hauling nothing but me and my Metro North maintenance gear. Pressure's fine, but the damn thing's making that grinding noise again when I brake. Sarah keeps telling me to take it to her cousin Mike's shop, but Mike charges like he's working on BMWs instead of beat-up work trucks. The radio's cutting in and out. Been doing that since lightning hit the tower near Croton Falls back in September. Nobody seems to know if it was actual lightning or just some teenagers with nothing better to do. Either way, half the time I get static, other half I get this Spanish station playing accordions at 6 in the morning. Severe weather advisory for Westchester and Putnam counties. The voice cuts through the static just long enough to make me turn up the volume, but then it's back to accordion music. I pull into the maintenance yard at 6:47 a.m., 3 minutes later than usual because I had to stop for coffee at that new Dunkin' on Route 9. The old one by the train station closed last month. Something about the lease, though Mira Kane from Dispatch says it's because the owner's kid got caught dealing pills in the parking lot. Could be true. Could be Mira making stuff up again. Hard to tell with her. The yard's quiet except for the hum of the salt spreaders and that annoying beeping from the backup alarm on the new plow truck. Trent Ward's already here. His Jeep's in its usual spot by the fence, and I can see him inside the office, probably already 3 cups deep into his morning coffee ritual. Trent's been supervisor here for 12 years, ever since the county consolidated the rail maintenance contracts. Good guy, even if he does talk your ear off about his grandson's little league stats. I grab my thermos and clipboard from the truck bed. Today's assignment sheet shows routine ice removal on the Brewster North line. Nothing special, just scraping frozen switches and checking the de-icing equipment along the commuter route. Winter maintenance is mostly boring work, but it pays steady and I've been doing it long enough to know which tracks freeze first and which ones you can let slide another day. The office smells like stale coffee and WD-40. Trent's hunched over his desk, squinting at a weather report on his ancient Dell computer that takes 5 minutes to boot up and crashes if you look at it wrong. "Morning, Dylan," he says without looking up. "You see this forecast? Supposed to drop another 8 degrees tonight." Saw something on the radio about severe weather. I tell him, pouring myself coffee from the pot that's been brewing since probably yesterday. The coffee tastes like it too. Signal kept cutting out though. Trent finally looks up, and I notice he's got that worried expression he gets when the county starts breathing down his neck about budget overruns. Yeah, well, county wants all the ice cleared before the morning commuter trains start running. Can't have any delays. Apparently some big shot from White Plains complained last week about his train being 15 minutes late. I nod and check my assignment again. Brewster North Line, mileposts 47 through 52. That's the stretch that runs through the woods between Croton Falls and Brewster. Mostly curves and a couple short bridges over frozen creeks. Not my favorite section, too isolated, and cell service cuts out right around milepost 49. But the work's straightforward enough. "You want me to take the ATV or walk it?" Ask. "Take the Honda," Trent says. "Supposed to be icy as hell out there, and I don't need you slipping and filing a workers' comp claim." The Honda ATV starts on the second try, which is better than usual for January. I load up my tools, ice scraper, de-icing spray, radio, emergency flares, and head out toward the Brewster North Line. The morning's gray and cold, the kind of cold that makes your nose hairs freeze and your fingers go numb even inside work gloves. The track access road is slick with black ice, but the Honda's got decent traction. I pass the old signal house at milepost 45, abandoned since they switched to the automated system 5 years ago, but the county won't pay to tear it down. The windows are all busted out now, and there's graffiti on the sides that I can't read from this distance. At milepost 47, I stop and get out to check the first set of switches. They're frozen solid, just like I expected. The de-icing equipment's been running, but it's not keeping up with this cold snap. I spray down the switches with the propylene glycol mixture and scrape away the worst of the ice buildup. It's quiet out here. Too quiet, maybe. Usually you hear traffic from Route 22, or at least the hum of power lines, but today there's nothing except the sound of my scraper against the metal rails and the Honda's engine idling. I finish with the switches and head north toward milepost 48. The track here runs through a cut in the hillside, with stone retaining walls on both sides and heavy trees overhead. In summer, it's shaded and cool. In winter, it's like riding through a tunnel made of ice. That's when I see them. Footprints. Not boot prints. I'd recognize work boots or hiking boots. These are different. Bare feet or maybe just socks. Small like a kid's. And they're perfectly preserved in the frost that covers the railroad ties, leading north along the tracks toward the woods. I stop the Honda and get off for a closer look. The prints are clear and distinct, pressed into the thin layer of frost like someone walked this way maybe an hour ago. But that doesn't make sense. Nobody walks these tracks in winter, especially not barefoot. Hell, nobody should be walking these tracks at all. It's posted no trespassing every quarter mile. I pull out my radio to call Trent, but all I get is static. Must be in one of those dead zones I was thinking about. I'll mention it when I get back to the office. The footprints continue north, spaced evenly like whoever made them was walking at a steady pace, not running or stumbling. I follow them with my eyes until they disappear around the curve near milepost 49. Could be some kid from town playing hooky from school. Wouldn't be the first time. But walking barefoot on frozen railroad tracks? That's not just stupid, it's dangerous. The rails conduct cold like nobody's business. Step on them with bare feet in this weather and you'd get frostbite in minutes. I decide to follow the prints, at least until I get to the curve. If there's some kid out here freezing to death, I need to find them before the next train comes through. The 8:15 a.m. southbound doesn't stop anywhere near here, and the engineer wouldn't see someone on the tracks until it was too late. I get back on the Honda and follow the footprints north. They stay right on the tracks, stepping from tie to tie with mechanical precision. No deviation, no stumbling, just steady forward progress into the woods. At milepost 49, the tracks curve sharply to the left around a rocky outcrop. The footprints continue around the curve, but something else catches my attention. There's a sound coming from up ahead. Not quite music, not quite voices. Like singing, maybe, but too faint to make out words. I stop the Honda again and listen. The sound's definitely there, multiple voices, harmonizing in some kind of pattern I can't quite follow. It's coming from somewhere ahead, past the curve. My first thought is maybe there's a group of kids out here, playing some kind of game. But the singing doesn't sound playful. It sounds formal, like a church service or maybe a funeral. I should probably turn around and call for backup. Trent's got the sheriff's department on speed dial, and they're better equipped to deal with trespassers, especially if it's a whole group of them. But the footprints bother me. Those small, bare prints in the frost. Someone could be in real trouble out here. I decide to check around the curve, just far enough to see what's ahead. If it looks like more than I can handle, I'll head back and call for help. The Honda's engine sounds unnaturally loud in the silence as I round the curve. The singing gets clearer. Definitely multiple voices, maybe a dozen or more, all singing in harmony. The melody's unfamiliar, but there's something hypnotic about it, almost like a lullaby. Past the curve, the tracks run straight for maybe 100 yards before disappearing into the heavy woods. And there, right in the middle of the straight section, I see them. People, standing on the tracks. At first glance, there might be 15 or 20 of them, arranged in a rough circle around something I can't quite make out from this distance. They're all facing inward, toward the center of the circle, and they're all singing that strange harmonizing song. None of them are wearing winter clothes. In fact, most of them look like they're dressed for a warm day. Light shirts, thin pants, some in just nightgowns or pajamas. and they're all standing perfectly still like statues. I kill the Honda's engine and get off quietly. Something about this scene makes me nervous. You don't find 20 people standing on abandoned railroad tracks in January singing songs in their pajamas unless something's seriously wrong. I need to call this in. This is way beyond routine track maintenance. I pull out my radio again, but it's still nothing but static. I try adjusting the frequency, but no luck. Must be some kind of interference from the hills or the power lines. The smart thing would be to head back to the office and report this. Let Trent call the sheriff, maybe get some EMTs out here in case these people are having some kind of medical emergency. Hypothermia can make people do crazy things. But as I'm thinking this over, one of the figures in the circle turns and looks directly at me. It's a woman, maybe 40 years old, with graying hair and a thin cotton dress that should have her shivering uncontrollably in this cold. But she's not shivering. She's not moving at all except for her mouth, still forming the words of that strange song. And she's smiling at me. Not a friendly smile, not exactly unfriendly either, more like she's been expecting me. She raises one hand and waves, a slow, deliberate gesture, like she's inviting me to come closer. The singing continues, but now I can make out some of the words. They're not in English, maybe Latin or something older. The melody rises and falls in patterns that seem almost familiar, like something I heard in childhood but can't quite remember. Other figures in the circle start turning to look at me. Men, women, a few who look like teenagers. All of them dressed too lightly for the weather. All of them perfectly still except for their mouths moving with the song. And all of them smiling that same expectant smile. The woman who waved starts walking toward me, still singing, still smiling. Her bare feet make no sound on the frozen railroad ties. That's when I notice something else. The footprints I've been following, the small, bare prints in the frost, they don't just lead to this circle of singers. They lead away from it too. In both directions. Like people have been walking back and forth along these tracks for hours or maybe days, all barefoot, all in the freezing cold, all leaving perfect prints in the frost that never melts. The woman's getting closer. She's maybe 50 feet away now, still maintaining that steady walking pace, still singing. Behind her, the rest of the circle continues their harmony, but some of them are starting to move too. Not walking, just shifting position slightly, like they're getting ready to do something. I back toward the Honda, keeping my eyes on the approaching woman. Something about her movement bothers me. It's too smooth, too steady, like she's gliding over the tracks instead of walking on them. "Ma'am," I call out, trying to keep my voice steady. "Ma'am, you need to get off the tracks. This is a restricted area." She doesn't respond except to keep walking and singing. The song's getting louder now, more insistent. The harmony from the circle behind her swells and shifts, creating harmonics that seem to vibrate in my chest. I reach the Honda and grab the handlebars, but before I can start the engine, the woman stops walking. She's about 20 feet away now, close enough that I can see her face clearly. Her skin is pale, almost gray, and there's frost in her hair and on her eyelashes. But she doesn't look cold. She looks content, peaceful, like standing barefoot on frozen railroad tracks in January is exactly where she wants to be. "Dylan," she says, and her voice carries clearly over the singing. "We've been waiting for you." I freeze. She knows my name. How the hell does she know my name? "You need to come with us now," she continues, still smiling. "The tracks are calling." Behind her, the circle of singers starts moving, not dispersing but flowing like water, reforming into a line that extends across both rails. They're blocking the tracks in both directions, still singing, still smiling. "I don't know what this is," I say, backing away from the Honda, "but you all need to get off the tracks before someone gets hurt. There's a train coming through in less than an hour." "No trains today," the woman says. No trains ever on the frozen tracks. Just us and the song and the walking. The line of singers starts moving toward me, slowly and steadily, still maintaining their harmony. There must be 25 or 30 of them now, more than I counted in the circle. Where did the extras come from? I turn and run. I don't stop running until I reach milepost 47, where I left my truck parked by the access road. My hands are shaking so bad I can barely get the keys in the ignition, and the engine turns over twice before finally catching. The radio crackles to life as soon as I'm away from the woods. Dylan, you copy?
Dylan, come in.
It's Trent, and he sounds worried. I'm here. I manage, my voice coming out rougher than I expected. I'm here, Trent. Jesus, Dylan, where have you been? I've been trying to raise you for 20 minutes. 20 minutes? It felt like maybe 5 since I saw those people on the tracks. But when I check my watch, it's 8:32 a.m. I left the yard at 7:15. That's more than an hour, not 20 minutes. I'm coming back, I tell him. We got a situation out here on the Brewster North Line. Need to call the sheriff. Sheriff? What kind of situation? I'm not sure how to explain what I just saw without sounding like I've lost my mind. Trespassers. Bunch of them, right on the tracks around milepost 49. They need help, Trent. Medical help, maybe. How many we talking about? I don't know. 20, maybe 30. They're not dressed for the weather, and they're acting strange. There's a pause on the radio. 30 people? Dylan, you sure about that number? I'm sure. Though as I say it, I realize I'm not sure about anything I just saw. The more I think about it, the less sense it makes. All right, I'm calling Sheriff Cole. You get back here and we'll figure out what's going on. Sheriff Sienna Cole arrives at the maintenance yard 15 minutes after I do, driving her cruiser with the emergency lights flashing but no siren. She's been Putnam County Sheriff for 6 years, ever since old Sheriff Martinez retired, and she's got a reputation for taking weird calls seriously. Good thing, because this one's about as weird as they come. Cole's maybe 45, tall and solid, with graying brown hair she keeps pulled back in a ponytail. She wears the uniform like she means business, but there's something approachable about her that makes people want to talk, which is probably why she's good at her job. Dylan, she says, shaking my hand. Trent says you found some people on the tracks? Yes, ma'am. North Line, around milepost 49. They were just standing there, singing. Singing? She pulls out a small notebook and flips it open. What kind of singing? I don't know. Some kind of harmony. Multiple voices. Couldn't make out the words. Wasn't English, I don't think. How many people? At first I thought maybe 20, but when they started moving toward me, there seemed to be more. 30, maybe. Cole makes a note. You said they weren't dressed for the weather? Light clothes. Pajamas, some of them. Bare feet. They should have been freezing, but they didn't seem to notice the cold. Bare feet in this weather? Trent shakes his head. Dylan, that doesn't make sense. People would get frostbite in minutes. I know it doesn't make sense. I snap, then catch myself. Sorry, I know how it sounds. Cole looks up from her notebook. What else? Anything unusual about their behavior? I think about the woman who knew my name, about the way she moved across the tracks like she was floating, about the footprints leading in both directions. They knew I was coming. One of them called me by name. Someone you recognized? Never seen her before in my life. Cole closes the notebook. All right, let's go take a look. The three of us pile into Trent's pickup, Trent driving, Cole riding shotgun, me in the back with the radio equipment. We take the access road toward the Brewster North Line, passing the abandoned signal house and the graffiti I still can't read. Sheriff, I say as we near milepost 47. There's something else. My radio went dead when I was out there. Complete static. Soon as I got away from the area, it started working fine. Interference from the power lines probably, Trent says. Happens sometimes in winter. But Cole turns to look at me. What kind of static? Constant or intermittent? Constant, like someone was jamming the signal. She nods thoughtfully but doesn't say anything else. We park where I left my truck earlier and transfer to the Honda ATV. Cole's never ridden one before, which becomes obvious when she nearly falls off the back on our first turn. But she's a quick learner. Trent follows on foot, grumbling about his knees and the cold. There, I say when we reach milepost 48. The footprints start right here. But when I look down at the railroad ties, there's nothing there.
No frost, no footprints.
Just bare wood and metal rails that look like they haven't been disturbed in weeks. Dylan, Cole's voice is carefully neutral. They were right here, I insist, getting off the ATV for a closer look. Small prints, bare feet, clear as day in the frost. Trent catches up with us, breathing hard. What frost? Dylan, it's been above freezing for the past 2 hours. I check the rails with my hands. They're cool but not frozen. There's no ice on the switches, no frost anywhere. But when I left here an hour ago, everything was covered with a thin layer of ice. The de-icing equipment must have kicked in, I say, but even as I say it, I know it doesn't explain the complete absence of ice. The equipment warms the rails and switches, but it doesn't affect the railroad ties or the ground around the tracks. Let's keep going, Cole says. Show me where you saw these people. We continue north toward milepost 49. I keep looking for signs of the group I saw. Footprints, disturbed gravel, anything to prove they were real. But the tracks look undisturbed, like nobody's walked on them in months. The singing, I tell Cole as we approach the curve. You'll hear it before you see them. Multiple voices, harmony. But as we round the curve, there's only silence. The straight section of track stretches ahead of us, empty except for a few crows picking at something in the gravel. This is where they were, I say, pointing to the spot where I saw the circle. Right here, maybe 30 of them, all singing. Cole gets off the ATV and walks the area slowly, looking at the ground, the rails, the trees on both sides of the tracks. Trent joins her, and they spend 10 minutes going over every inch of track. Dylan, Trent says finally, there's no sign anyone's been here. No footprints, no disturbed gravel, nothing. They were here, I insist. The woman in the cotton dress, she knew my name. She said they were waiting for me. Cole walks back to where I'm standing. Dylan, when's the last time you got a good night's sleep? What's that supposed to mean? You've been working a lot of overtime lately. Stress can do funny things to people's perceptions. I know what I saw. I'm not saying you didn't see something, Cole says carefully, but maybe what you saw wasn't what you thought it was. So you think I'm hallucinating? I think you're tired and stressed, and maybe your mind filled in some blanks that weren't really there. Trent nods agreement. Could have been mist rising from the warm rails, Dylan. Trick of the light, shadows in the trees. In this kind of weather, it's easy to see things that aren't there. I want to argue, but what's the point? There's no evidence. No footprints, no signs of disturbance, no mysterious singers in pajamas. Just me and my story that sounds crazier every time I repeat it. Maybe you're right, I say, though I don't believe it. Cole's radio crackles to life. Sheriff Cole, we've got a situation in Brewster. Missing person report. She keys the mic. Go ahead, dispatch. Lydia Shaw, 62 years old. Family says she left her house around 7 a.m. wearing a nightgown and hasn't been seen since. They're worried about exposure. Cole looks at me.
Description.
Gray hair, thin build, about 5'4". Last seen wearing a white cotton nightgown. I feel the blood drain from my face. That's her. That's the woman I saw. Dylan. Gray hair, cotton dress. She knew my name. That's the woman from the tracks. Cole keys her radio again. Dispatch, we're going to extend the search area. Have units check the railroad tracks between Croton Falls and Brewster. Copy that, Sheriff. Trent's looking at me with a mixture of concern and confusion. Dylan, if you really saw someone out here, why didn't you try to help her? I tried to talk to her, but she just kept walking toward me, singing. When she got close, I ran. You ran? Dylan, if there was a confused elderly woman out here in a nightgown, why didn't you help her? Because she wasn't confused, I say. She knew exactly what she was doing. She knew my name, Trent. She told me the tracks were calling. Cole's radio crackles again. Sheriff, we've got another one. Cyrus Beck, 43, missing since early this morning. Family says he went out to get the newspaper and never came back.
Description.
Thin build, brown hair, wearing pajama pants and a t-shirt. I remember the man in the circle, the one who looked like he was in his 40s. There was a man in pajamas, I tell Cole. In the group I saw. Dylan, stop. Cole's voice is firm. We've got 2 missing people who match some general descriptions. That doesn't mean you saw them on the tracks. Then where are they? We're going to find out. But right now, I need you to focus on facts, not interpretations. Cole's radio goes off a third time. Sheriff, we're getting more calls. At least 6 people missing from the Brewster area, all since early this morning. Dispatch is setting up a command post. Cole looks at Trent. I need to get back to town. Can you handle things here? Of course. Dylan, you should probably head home. Get some rest. I'm fine, Trent. I can finish the maintenance route. I think you've done enough for today. Cole heads back toward the ATV, but before she gets on, she turns to me. Dylan, if you really did see something out here, I need you to think carefully about every detail. Not what you thought you saw, but what you actually saw. I saw 30 people standing on the railroad tracks singing, I say, and now 6 of them are missing from town. Maybe, Cole says, or maybe you saw something else, and your mind connected it to these missing person reports. What else could it have been? I don't know yet, but I intend to find out. I don't go home like Trent suggested. Instead, I drive to the Brewster Diner on Route 22 and sit in a corner booth with coffee and a piece of pie that tastes like canned cherries and freezer burn. The television over the counter is tuned to the local news, but they're talking about some political scandal in Albany, not missing people. The diner's mostly empty except for a few truckers and an old man reading a newspaper at the counter. I recognize him, Mira Kane's father, though I can't remember his first name. He comes in here every morning for coffee and complains about the weather to whoever will listen. Excuse me, I say, sliding into the seat next to him. You're Myra's dad, right? From the dispatch office. He looks up from his paper, squinting at me through thick glasses. Dylan Frost. Yeah, you work with my daughter. What can I do for you? Did you hear anything about people going missing this morning? In Brewster. Missing people? He folds his newspaper and turns to face me. What kind of missing? I don't know. Sheriff Cole got some calls about it. People leaving their houses early this morning and not coming back. The old man, I think his name is Frank or maybe Fred, shakes his head. Haven't heard anything. But then again, I don't get out much these days. Why? You know something about it. Maybe. I saw some people on the railroad tracks this morning. They didn't look right. Didn't look right how? I tell him about the singers in light clothes, about the bare footprints in the frost, about the woman who knew my name. He listens without interrupting, occasionally nodding or making small noises of interest. "Sounds like you had quite a morning," he says when I finish. "What did the sheriff say?" "She thinks I was seeing things. Stress, lack of sleep, that kind of thing." Frank, I'm pretty sure his name is Frank, sips his coffee thoughtfully. "Well, could be. Could be something else too." "What do you mean?" "You been working the railroad tracks long?" 8 years, give or take." "Ever hear any stories about the Brewster North Line?" "Local stories, I mean." "What kind of stories?" Frank looks around the diner, making sure nobody's listening, then leans closer. "My grandfather used to work for the railroad back in the 30s and 40s. Used to tell stories about that stretch of track you were on today." "What kind of stories?" "People walking the tracks. Always in winter, always when it was cold enough for frost. He used to see them from the signal house. Groups of people walking north along the tracks, singing." My coffee suddenly tastes bitter. People from town? That's what he thought at first. But then he started recognizing some of the faces. People who died years before. His brother, who died in the flu epidemic of 1918. A woman from his church who passed from cancer. All of them walking the frozen tracks, singing. "Your grandfather told people about this?" "Sure did. Railroad company fired him for it. Said he was scaring the workers, making up ghost stories. But he swore it was true until the day he died." I finish my coffee, trying to process what Frank's telling me. "Did anyone else ever see these people?" "Oh sure. Over the years, different folks reported the same thing. Always in winter, always on the coldest days. Groups of people walking the tracks, singing songs nobody could understand." "What happened to them? The people who reported it?" Frank shrugs. "Most folks learned to keep quiet about it. But some..." He trails off. "Some what?" "Some folks got curious. Started investigating, trying to find out who these people were, where they were going. And some of those folks, well, they never came back." I feel a chill that has nothing to do with the cold outside. Never came back? Missing persons reports, mostly from the 1950s and 60s. People would go out to investigate the singers on the tracks, and they'd disappear. Usually found days later, walking somewhere far from home, with no memory of how they got there. Found where? Different places. Train stations, mostly. Sometimes as far away as New York City or Boston. Always walking, always singing. Always with no memory of the past few days. Frank finishes his coffee and stands up. Course, that was all a long time ago. Probably just old stories. Nothing to worry about. But you think there's something to it. I think there's a lot of things in this world we don't understand, Frank says. And most of the time, it's better to leave them alone. He leaves money on the counter and heads for the door. But before he goes, he turns back to me. "Dylan, you seem like a good kid. Take some advice from an old man. Stay away from those tracks until spring. Whatever you saw out there this morning, it ain't worth the risk." After Frank leaves, I sit in the booth for another 20 minutes, staring out the window at the gray January sky. On the surface, what he told me sounds like typical local folklore, the kind of ghost stories small towns accumulate over the decades. But the details match too closely with what I saw this morning. People walking the tracks in winter, singing in harmony, the woman who knew my name. And now 6 people are missing from Brewster. My phone buzzes with a text from Sarah. "Working late tonight. Emma's at mom's. Don't wait up." Emma's our 8-year-old daughter, and Sarah's been pulling extra shifts at the hospital since Christmas. Money's tight with the truck payment and Emma's dental work, so I can't complain about the overtime. But it means I'll be home alone tonight, which suddenly doesn't sound appealing. I pay for my coffee and pie and drive back toward the maintenance yard. Maybe Trent's got some busy work for me, something to keep my mind off this morning's weirdness. The yard's empty when I get there. Trent's truck is gone, and the office is locked. There's a note on my truck windshield. Gone to help with search. Go home. T. So the search for the missing people is still active. Part of me wants to drive back out to the Brewster North Line and look for signs I missed earlier. But another part of me, the part that's been growing stronger since my conversation with Frank, thinks maybe staying away is the smart choice. I'm about to get in my truck when I notice something odd. There's frost on my windshield. Not just a little bit. A thick layer of ice that looks like it's been building for hours. But it's been above freezing all day, and my truck's been parked in the sun for the past 3 hours. I touch the ice with my bare finger. Solid, thick enough that I'll need the scraper to clear it. But the windows on Trent's office building, parked just 20 feet away, are clear. As I'm standing there trying to make sense of this, my radio crackles to life. "Dylan, you copy?" It's not Trent's voice. It's a woman and she sounds familiar. "Who is this?" "Dylan, you need to come back to the tracks. We're waiting for you." It's the woman from this morning, the one in the cotton dress who knew my name. "How are you on this frequency?" "The tracks are calling, Dylan. You felt it this morning. You know you belong with us." "I'm calling the sheriff," I say, reaching for my phone. "No need for that. Just come back to milepost 49. We have so much to show you." "Who are you people? What do you want?" "We want to sing, Dylan. We want to walk the frozen tracks forever. And we want you to join us." The radio goes silent. I try to raise Trent on the emergency frequency, but all I get is static. I try Sheriff Cole's department, but same thing. Complete radio silence. My phone shows no signal bars. The frost on my windshield is spreading, creeping down toward the side windows despite the afternoon sun. And in the distance, barely audible over the sound of traffic on Route 22, I can hear singing. Multiple voices in harmony, just like this morning. I get in my truck and drive home as fast as I can without sliding on the increasingly icy roads. My house is a small ranch on a dead-end street in Carmel, about 15 minutes from the rail yard. Sarah and I bought it 5 years ago when Emma started kindergarten and we needed to be in a decent school district. It's nothing fancy. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, a basement that floods every spring, but it's ours. The driveway's covered with the same thick frost that was on my truck windshield, even though the temperature gauge on my truck reads 42 degrees. I park and scrape the ice off my windshield with a credit card, since I left my ice scraper in the work truck. Inside, the house feels too quiet. Usually Emma's got the TV going or Sarah's moving around in the kitchen, but today there's just the hum of the refrigerator and the tick of the wall clock in the living room. I check my phone again, still no signal. The landline gives me a dial tone, so I call the sheriff's office. "Putnam County Sheriff," says a voice I don't recognize. "This is Dylan Frost. I need to speak with Sheriff Cole about the missing persons case." "Sheriff Cole's in the field. Can I take a message?" "Tell her Dylan Frost called. The railroad maintenance guy. Tell her I have more information about the people on the tracks." "What kind of information?" "Just tell her to call me. It's important." I give him my number and hang up, then pace around the living room trying to figure out what to do next. The smart thing would be to stay inside, maybe call in sick tomorrow, let someone else handle the Brewster North Line until this whole thing blows over. But those people are still missing. Lydia Shaw in her nightgown, Cyrus Beck in his pajamas. For others I don't even know about. And if what Frank told me is true, if people have been disappearing around those tracks for decades, then maybe I'm the only one who's seen them and lived to tell about it. The singing starts again around 4 p.m. At first I think it's coming from outside, so I check all the windows. But there's nothing out there except my neighbors' houses and the dead-end street. The singing's coming from inside the house. Not from the radio that's turned off. Not from the TV that's off too. The sound's coming from somewhere deeper, like it's rising up through the floorboards. Multiple voices in harmony. The same melody I heard on the tracks this morning. I can almost make out words now, but they're in a language I don't recognize. Something old, something that makes the back of my neck prickle. I follow the sound down to the basement, where Sarah keeps her craft supplies and I've got my workbench set up. The singing's definitely louder down here, but I still can't pinpoint where it's coming from. Then I notice something that makes my blood run cold. There's frost on the basement windows. Thick, white frost covering the glass completely, even though the basement's heated and the windows are on the south side of the house. And in the frost, someone's written words. Come back to the tracks. We're waiting. The singing never stops. I back away from the windows, but the singing's getting louder. It's not just coming through the frost now, it's coming from the walls, the ceiling, everywhere at once. My phone buzzes, a text message, even though I still don't have any signal bars. Dylan, you can't hide from us. The tracks are calling your name. The message shows no sender, just a timestamp from 3 hours in the future. Another message appears. Your wife Sarah is working late. Your daughter Emma is safe with her grandmother. You're all alone, Dylan. Perfect time to come join us. How do they know about Sarah and Emma? How do they know our schedule? A third message. We've been watching you for years, Dylan. Every morning you drive past milepost 49. Every winter you clear the ice from our rails. You belong with us. The basement's getting cold now, cold enough that I can see my breath. The frost on the windows is spreading, creeping up the walls like fingers. I run upstairs and grab my keys, but before I can get to the door, my phone rings. Dylan, it's Sarah's voice, but something's wrong with it. Too calm, too steady. Sarah, where are you? I'm at the hospital, sweetheart. Working late, remember? Are you okay? You sound different. I sound different because I'm not Sarah. The voice that's been using my wife's phone laughs, and it's not Sarah's laugh. It's the woman from the tracks, the one in the cotton dress. How? We're everywhere, Dylan. We're everyone. The man at the diner today? That was us. The deputy who took your call? Us too. We've been part of this town for so long. Nobody remembers what it was like before we came. What do you want? We want you to come home, Dylan. Come back to the tracks where you belong. I don't belong anywhere near those tracks. Oh, but you do. You've been walking them your whole life, you just didn't know it. Every day you go to work, every night you go to sleep, every morning you wake up and do it all again. Walking the same route, following the same tracks, singing the same song. The frost is spreading through the house now. I can see it creeping across the living room windows, the kitchen windows, forming words and patterns I can't quite read. Your real family is waiting for you. The voice that's not Sarah continues. Your real home is with us. Come back to milepost 49, Dylan. Come join the song. What did you do with Sarah? What did you do with my wife? Sarah's fine. She's at work, just like she told you. She doesn't even know we're talking. Prove it. There's a pause. Then Sarah's real voice comes through the phone. Dylan? Honey, did you call me? I've got 3 missed calls from our number. Sarah, it's really you? Of course it's me. Are you okay? You sound stressed. Where are you right now? I'm at the hospital. Emergency department. We had a multi-car accident come in and I'm pulling a double shift. Why? I need you to stay there tonight. Don't come home until morning. Dylan, what's wrong? I can't explain it right now. Just promise me you'll stay at the hospital. Okay. Promise. But Dylan, you're scaring me. I love you, I tell her. Tell Emma I love her too. Dylan. I hang up and immediately call Emma's grandmother. Rose, it's Dylan. Is Emma with you? Of course she's with me. She's watching cartoons. Do you want to talk to her? No, just keep her there tonight, okay? Don't let her go outside. Dylan, dear, are you feeling all right? I'm fine. Just keep Emma inside. I hang up and lean against the kitchen counter, trying to think. Sarah's safe at the hospital. Emma's safe with Rose. Whatever's happening, it's focused on me. The singing's getting louder, and now it's not just coming from the basement. It's everywhere, the walls, the ceiling, the floor. The whole house is vibrating with harmony. My phone buzzes with another text. Time's up, Dylan. Come to us now or we'll come to you. The front door's handle turns by itself. I grab my truck keys and run for the back door, but it swings open before I reach it. Standing in the doorway is Lydia Shaw, the missing woman in the cotton nightgown. Her skin is pale gray now, covered with frost, and her eyes reflect light like ice. Hello, Dylan, she says. We've been waiting for you. Behind her, I can see more figures walking across my backyard. Cyrus Beck in his pajama pants, a teenage girl in a thin dress, an old man in a bathrobe, all of them moving toward the house with that same smooth, gliding walk. I back toward the front door, but it opens too. More figures filing in, all of them singing in perfect harmony, all of them smiling that same expectant smile. Don't be afraid, Lydia Shaw says. It doesn't hurt. Walking the tracks, singing the song. It's peaceful, Dylan. It's home. I'm not going anywhere with you. You don't have a choice anymore, she says. You've seen us, talked to us, heard our song. You're already part of us now. The figures are surrounding me, closing in from all sides. Their singing fills the house, drowns out my heartbeat, makes it hard to think. Just let go, Lydia says. Stop fighting. Come walk the tracks with us forever. I feel my resistance weakening. The singing's so beautiful, so hypnotic. Part of me wants to give in, to stop struggling, to follow these peaceful people wherever they want to take me. But then I think about Emma watching cartoons at her grandmother's house. I think about Sarah pulling a double shift at the hospital. I think about the life I've built, imperfect as it is. No, I say. The singing falters for just a moment.
No, irrapat, lode.
I'm not going with you. Lydia Shaw's smile disappears. You don't understand. You can't say no. Not anymore. Watch me. I push past her toward the back door, but she grabs my arm. Her hand is freezing cold, cold enough to burn, and frost spreads from her touch up my sleeve. Dylan, she says, and now her voice has an edge to it. You're making this harder than it needs to be. The other figures stop singing and start moving closer. Their faces aren't peaceful anymore. They look hungry. We tried to be nice, Cyrus Beck says. We tried to make it easy for you. But if you won't come willingly, adds the teenage girl, we'll have to take you. They rush me all at once. I break free from Lydia Shaw's grip and run toward the kitchen, where I keep a baseball bat behind the refrigerator for home security. But before I can reach it, the old man in the bathrobe tackles me to the floor. His skin is like ice against mine, and everywhere he touches me, frost spreads across my clothes. The others pile on top of me, their cold hands grabbing at my arms and legs, their voices rising in that hypnotic harmony. Stop fighting, they whisper in unison. Join us, walk the tracks, sing the song. The cold is seeping into my bones now, making my thoughts sluggish. It would be so easy to give up, to let them carry me away to whatever fate awaits on the frozen tracks. But as they lift me up, I catch sight of a photo on the kitchen counter. Sarah and Emma at the beach last summer, both of them laughing at something just outside the frame. With the last of my strength, I grab the photo and hold it tight against my chest. I have a family, I gasp. A real family, a life. The figures freeze, their singing stopping abruptly. I'm not walking any tracks, I continue. I'm staying here. Lydia Shaw hisses like an angry cat. You can't resist forever, Dylan. We'll keep coming back. Every winter, every cold night, every time you're alone. Eventually you'll give in. Maybe, I admit, but not tonight. The figures start to fade, becoming translucent, their forms dissolving like mist. But Lydia Shaw's voice echoes in the empty house as they disappear. We'll be waiting, Dylan. On the frozen tracks. We'll always be waiting. The house is warm again within minutes, the frost melting from the windows and walls like it was never there. I sit on the kitchen floor holding the photo of Sarah and Emma until my hands stop shaking. My phone rings. Sheriff Cole. Dylan, I got your message. What kind of information do you have? Did you find them? The missing people. We found 4 of them, wandering around the train station in Cold Spring, about 20 miles south of here. No memory of how they got there. No shoes, hypothermic but alive. What about Lydia Shaw and Cyrus Beck? Still missing. Dylan, these people we found, they keep talking about singing. They say they were part of some kind of choir walking along railroad tracks. Does that mean anything to you? I look at the photo in my hands. Sarah's smile, Emma's gap-toothed grin. My family, my real life. Sheriff, you need to post signs along the Brewster North Line. Warning signs. Tell people to stay off the tracks in winter. Dylan, what aren't you telling me? Post the signs, please, and assign someone else to that maintenance route. You're quitting. I'm choosing my family over whatever's out there on those tracks. There's a long pause. All right, Dylan, I'll put up the signs. But if you know something that could help us find the other missing people. You won't find them on the tracks, I tell her. They're somewhere else now. Somewhere the rest of us can't follow. What's that supposed to mean? It means some things are better left alone. After I hang up, I call Trent and tell him I need a few days off. Family emergency. He grumbles about being short-staffed, but he agrees to find someone else to cover the Brewster North Line until next week. Then I call Sarah at the hospital. Hey, she says, feeling better? You sounded really weird earlier.
I'm okay.
Just a rough day. When do you think you'll be home? Probably not until morning. This accident was bad, 3 casualties, 2 still in surgery. I'm gonna crash in the on-call room. Good. Stay there. Stay safe. Dylan, you're worrying me. What happened today? I'll tell you when you get home. Right now, I just need to know you and Emma are okay. We're fine, honey, but you should get some sleep. You sound exhausted. After we hang up, I spend the next hour checking every window and door in the house, making sure they're locked tight. I know it won't stop anything if they really want to come back, but it makes me feel better. The singing doesn't return that night or the next night or the night after that. By Thursday, I'm starting to think maybe it's over. Maybe my refusal broke whatever hold they had on me. But on Friday morning, I wake up to find frost on my bedroom window. Just a thin layer, barely visible unless you know where to look. And in the frost, traced in delicate script, we're still waiting. I scrape the frost away and get dressed for work. Trent's assigned me to the Metro North-South line today, a busy commuter route with no isolated stretches, no mysterious footprints, no singing voices in empty woods. But as I drive past milepost 49 on my way to the southern assignment, I can't help glancing toward the tracks. There's nothing there, just empty rails and winter-brown trees. but I swear I can hear something in the distance, faint and far away, but unmistakable. Singing. I don't slow down. I don't stop. I don't even turn on my radio until I'm well past the area. But the singing follows me all day. That evening, I pick up Emma from Rose's house and we go home to wait for Sarah. Emma chatters about her day at school, something about a science project on penguins, while I make dinner and try to act normal. "Daddy, why are all the windows frosty?" she asks as we're eating. I look around the dining room. Every window has a thin layer of frost, despite the warm temperature inside. "Just cold outside, sweetheart. The heat hasn't caught up yet." But Emma's not fooled. She's 8 years old and smart as a whip, and she knows something's wrong. "It's not cold outside," she points out. "It's supposed to be 50 degrees today. I heard it on the weather." "Eat your spaghetti." She takes a few more bites, then looks at me seriously. "Daddy, are we safe here?" "Of course we're safe. Why would you ask that?" "Because you keep looking at the windows like something's going to come through them." I put down my fork and really look at my daughter, her dark hair that she gets from Sarah, her green eyes that she gets from me, her serious expression that's all her own. "Emma, if something ever feels wrong, if you ever feel scared, what do? Find a grown-up I trust," she recites. "Tell them what's wrong. Ask for help." That's right. And no matter what happens, no matter how strange things get, you remember that mommy and daddy love you more than anything in the world. "I know that, Daddy, but you're still scaring me." Sarah gets home around 9, exhausted from her double shift but relieved to see us both safe and sound. After Emma goes to bed, I tell Sarah everything. The singers on the tracks, the missing people, the frost that appears where it shouldn't, the voices that know our names and our schedules. She listens without interrupting, occasionally raising an eyebrow but never telling me I'm crazy. "So what do?" she asks when I finish. "I don't know. I turned down their invitation, but I don't think that's the end of it. Could we move? Get away from the railroad completely? Maybe, but what if they follow us? What if it's not about the location, but about me specifically?" Sarah takes my hand. "Then we deal with it together, all three of us. I won't let anything happen to you or Emma. I know you won't, but Dylan, you can't protect us by keeping secrets. If this thing is real, if it's dangerous, we need to know what we're dealing with." That night, we sleep with Emma in our bed and every light in the house turned on. The frost appears on the windows around midnight, but this time it doesn't form words. It just spreads slowly across the glass like ice crystals growing in a time-lapse video. And somewhere in the distance, barely audible over the hum of the heater and the tick of the bedroom clock, we can hear singing. Sarah squeezes my hand. "We'll figure this out," she whispers. "Promise. Promise." But even as she says it, I can see the doubt in her eyes. Because we both know that some problems don't have solutions. Some things that call to you in the dark never stop calling. All you can do is choose not to answer. For now. The singing continues until dawn, and I lie awake listening to it, holding my family close and wondering how long I can keep saying no. Outside our bedroom window, frost forms and melts and forms again, tracing patterns that might be words in a language I don't want to learn. "We're waiting," the patterns seem to say. "We'll always be waiting." And winter comes every year.